Well, good morning, everyone. This is Maggie Reese.
And I'm John McManamy.
And we're coming to you live from the shack.
Live from the shack. I like live from the shack.
Yeah, live from the shack.
We are looking very much alive, aren't we?
That's right, we're
the
live.
The shack does that to you.
I know, and we're going to talk about more stuff today, and today we're going to dive right into creativity.
Creativity, yes.
Which the bipolar brain, obviously, we have lots.
Well, you know, anytime I've talked to people, and I haven't really been talking to groups of people lately, you know, I've been chilling from that, but every time I always get at least 3 questions on creativity.
And what are those 3 questions?
Well, let's say, you know, can you tell us about famous people?
Yes.
I've heard they say bipolar people are creative. Is there something special in our brains that make us creative? So there's so the short answer is yes, we are creative, but our bipolar can also work against that, because if we're too manic or too depressed, we're not going to be doing much creating.
No,
so
then it's like a dark hole.
it's like a dark hole, so we've got to learn how to manage our creativity. I think all of us have creativity
Definitely
in us, just to carry on a conversation with a person. If you've ever talked your way out of a traffic ticket, for instance, you're being creative.
That's me.
Okay, you've already. Oh, it's so much easier for women.
I went through 2 stop signs and I managed to get out of both.
But see, that's being creative, because
Yes.
you're having to assess the situation. You know, evolution-wise, we're meant to respond to our environments in a creative fashion. If we see an animal we've never seen before, for instance,
Right.
or there's funny weather we've never encountered before, we have to react creatively to it.
Right.
Otherwise, we're not going to live long enough to pass down our genes. So we've all got it somewhere in us.
And
Even
we
if
just
you
have to tap into it.
yeah, even if you don't think you can, it doesn't. Creativity is not to be confused with being an artsy person.
Right. It doesn't mean you have to be a Van Gogh out there.
No, you don't have to be a Van Gogh. You can be a creative engineer. You can be a creative accountant.
Yeah.
We don't associate those professions with creativity. Or you can get home and just do some cool creative stuff. No matter what.
Collages, or I don't know, just whatever.
Or just making a cabinet, whatever. Or going into the garden. You're exercising your mind creatively. so that's kind of where we want to have the conversation. But we can use people like Van Gogh and Beethoven as examples.
Oh yeah, for me, when you bring up the Van Gogh, I go right to Saint Remy. And
you were in Van Gogh country.
I was there. I was there where Van Gogh was put in the mental hospital, and to walk through the little town of Saint Remy, and to think, okay, Van Gogh was right here, and there's signs along the sidewalk going all the way up to the mental hospital of this is where this was painted, and you know, the trees, and here's where Starry Nights was painted, which was in a different town, but you know, they have different things going up this walk to the hospital.
It's like a pilgrimage.
It was incredible. And then when you get there to the hospital, to be in the room that he was in and looking through the bars, there's all the paintings he did from that window were up here. They were not like just looking through some bars and he just started painting stuff. He took from what he saw outside and then just went beyond that. And it was an incredible experience, and it got me to want to paint. Of course, my mother's a painter, and she was out there in the olive trees right where he painted, and she's painting away, and, all these French people are coming around and going crazy, and I'm not as good as she is, but it was fun. I did get to tap into some art and to do some oil painting.
Even if you do something badly, guess what? You get an insight. A long time ago, I took tap lessons, and I cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. But I'm a great fan of like Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and those guys, and I really thought, oh, I want to try that.
Right.
So, I've got 2 left feet. I'm stumbling all over the place. But the little bit I learned, I'm able to so much appreciate these tap dance movies right now. So it just builds that level of appreciation.
Oh yeah, and then your brain goes to that other place, and you're just like, I can do this, even if it's not awesome.
I can be, in my own mind, Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly or the Nicholas brothers for
a few minutes.
For a few minutes.
Or whatever. And I go to my little Van Gogh brain that I think, oh, I've got this. And then, of course, when I got home and I started oil painting here, I sucked. But I can show you guys an example real quick of what I did over there.
Show an example.
So this was outside of Saint Remy. It's an oil. And we have to,
cool.
you have to do little ones to pack them home on the airplane. So this one was an Abbey, and this was the lavender that I saw from the distance in the Abbey, and we were looking, towards the Abbey on the hillside.
Of colors there.
And I have lots of bright colors in my head, so it just comes out on the canvas of.
Tell us about the bright colors in your head, because that's interesting. I experienced that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bipolar thing.
Oh my gosh, they're like crazy bright, like orange and hot pink and red.
Yeah, and when they put me on meds, those colors disappeared in my brain.
Yeah, then it dulls it, right?
Yeah,
it's like it goes dark.
Now this does not mean go off your meds. No, please don't misinterpret
because you'll
that.
end up on Channel 8 News.
Right. We don't want that. Yeah, we don't want you to be famous that way. We want you to be famous this way.
No, yeah. So yeah, those colors. When I get that exciting, like enlightenment type feeling, is when the colors explode in my head, and then for me it comes out here, or sometimes it even comes out.
Yeah, this is where it's almost proof that Van Gogh was bipolar. He saw those colors in his head.
Totally,
right?
and when you see, I was in the Louvre in Paris, and when you see his dark paintings there, when he was depressed, they're black. And grays, and the self-portrait that he did of himself is just like, so if you go back and look at the self-portrait, the famous one, it's so, the colors are dark and dull, and his eyes have that look.
The 1,000-foot stare.
Yeah, the 1,000-foot stare, you can totally, I see myself in that when I see that.
I saw his crows on the wheat field.
Yes.
First I saw it in the Metropolitan Museum of Art back in the 1980s. It was on display with paintings he did like in the last 100 days of his life. And then I later saw it in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
and I mean, that was, I think, his last painting.
Yes.
And it's so bleak and depressing.
Oh, yeah.
The sky is, I think it's mostly wheat fields. In most landscapes, my impression is 2/3 of it is sky.
Right.
And he had this reversed. It was like 2/3 were wheat fields, and he had these crows, which stand, I think they're a symbol of death.
Oh, totally. When I see crows,
and there's this path just going off into the distance,
to death. Like
to death.
There's where he's going.
It's
he's going to
painted
die.
his own death. Yeah. And this. Okay, so this is the bad side of bipolar with creativity, because here's the question I'll ask of people: how many paintings did Van Gogh do at age 38? 0.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because he killed himself at age 37.
Oh.
So this,
didn't know that.
So this is the serious side of it, folks.
Yes. We did it all.
We have to handle our illness. We just can't say, "Oh, I'm bipolar. I'm creative. La di da di da."
Yeah.
It's usually the first-degree family members who are the successful ones. They've got the same creativity, but without the full range.
That would be my mom.
That would be your mom.
Yes.
This is a classic case, and we've had some studies on this. Because in Europe they have the socialized medicine. They have these great patient databases, so they're able to pull one from the Swedish database, just about everybody in the population, and they really did a good study on this, and they found, yes, bipolars are more creative than the general population, but so are the first-degree family members who don't have it. So it's kind of like they're the ones who hit the genetic jackpot. They're north of normal, but south of bipolar.
Yes.
So our
my
challenge is, okay, we've got to get ourselves to south of bipolar, because when we're full-on bipolar, we're too crazy to get stuff done.
To harness it and
to
stay alive.
And to stay, the challenges
I feel like
of
a lot
alive.
of actors, like there's this bright light, and they're just go, and then all of a sudden there's an overdose and they're dead.
Yeah.
And it's like they weren't able to rest, or they were just going, and then
you read about them on the news. They're done. But then there's so many in Hollywood who are successful. You know,
Yeah.
they're the north of normal, south of bipolar. They have great careers. So they're you know, I don't think anybody creative or let me phrase this. Okay, so we got normal in quotes. Okay, so we're leading our normal lives. So these people, there's something different about them. Okay, and they appreciate their differences and they celebrate this and they lead these fantastically creative lives, and that happens a lot in Hollywood. But then sometimes we don't get the Hollywood ending, or we get people like us, because I've had years where my life has just gone off the rails.
Right.
So I'm not publishing, I'm not producing anything. So really, at that stage, I'm a casualty. When I'm publishing and producing, and I've been in this period of wellness now for about 17 years.
Right.
So, you know, I've got a great range of work, but it's only because, you know, the creativity flows, but it's only because I just take fanatical steps in managing the bipolar.
Right.
So this is important.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. I find that in my life too. As well.
And I think a lot of times too, with the brain, creativity works in pretty similar ways how we get overwhelmed. In other words, a lot of stuff is coming in. It's like the leaky filter, I think they call it. You know, it's hard for us to screen out everything that's happening in our environment. We are noticing way too much. We hear sounds, you know, noises, we see things, smells, and then our brains connect up in certain ways that we say, wow, that dewdrop looks interesting. It looks like there's a whole universe inside the dewdrop. And next thing, we're William Blake writing a poem on it. Right? You know, I see the universe in a grain of sand.
Yes.
That's the way the creative mind works. But William Blake was also kind of crazy himself. So because often there's so much information coming in, we get overwhelmed. So we shut down, which is like depression, or we flip out, which is like mania. So, so this is the gift and the curse. It's a double-edged sword.
Definitely. And then when I get on that spin of the creativity, well, it takes over me, I start painting furniture and shabby chiking it.
Oh,
and
you're doing great stuff.
Oh, yeah. So I just start, and I buy all the stuff from the thrift store, and then I'm painting it all. And then Matt's like, what is happening? Because Matt's always just left in the wake going, what is Maggie doing now? And then the next thing you know, I'm selling it up in Pasadena at a flea market, and you know, whether it's successful or not, I don't care. I'm on this high, and I can't get off the train. I'm just boom.
Well, I think creativity, it is one of the biggest thrills. Some Pulitzer-winning prize author said, you know, creativity, you know, it's the same experience as good sex.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm on a creative role, I mean, nothing makes me feel more alive.
Right.
Than being on a creative role.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel this is what I was born to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And okay, so here's the trick, Maggie. You know, like how can we incorporate this into our lives? Because not everyone can be a famous artist or or something, but we can still live creative lives.
Definitely.
So yeah, what do you recommend? I mean, you just take out and devote an hour every 2 days or something to something creative?
Well, you know, I would say even if it's going to, say, you know, you're a stay-at-home mom or something and you need some creative outlet, and maybe that's just going to Barnes & Noble and buying one of those adult coloring books, and you get some colored pencils.
Coloring books are big now, right?
Yes, and they're really big and they're therapeutic, so you don't have to decide how to paint a picture, right? It's already there, so you can start being creative just by coloring in maybe it's a peacock and you're coloring in the feathers, and by the end of the page you're gonna have something kind of cool, and you don't have to stress about designing it, or maybe it's you want to you know, get some kind of a craft that tells you instructions how to do it if you're more like that.
So it's kind of starting simple.
Simple, yeah. You don't have to be extravagant where you're buying a piece of blank canvas like this, right? That's terrifying for most people.
Right, that's intimidating.
Oh yeah, if you buy this and you go buy some oil paints and a paintbrush, good luck. So that's really hard.
That's a funny thing, because when smartphones first came out, okay, I'd never owned a camera in my life. And I found out, with the smartphones, I said, wait, I'm taking some pretty good pictures.
Yeah.
So it was like a beginner's camera for me.
Yeah.
And then I went out and bought a good camera.
Then you're like, whoa, this is pretty cool.
And then it was like pretty cool. I see a bee in a flower. I will take a picture of that. So it was like very simple steps. And
yeah. And then it opens up doors to other things that normally
it
would
opens
never
me
do.
up to experiences.
For sure.
And the good thing, just photography wise, back in the old days with film, you didn't get instant feedback, so you didn't know whether you were taking the picture wrong or not.
Right.
So when I was experimenting with digital, I could say, oh, that came out fuzzy. Oh, this is good, and then I go, I'll just do it this way.
Right.
So simple steps. Start out with a coloring book.
Yeah.
I
always say, go back to what kids do, right?
Go back
Finger
to
painting, or
kids are the greatest teachers.
when I watch my daughter do stuff, the other day she created this project for school, and she took a box and I gave her some spray paints, because I'm not a parent that does my kids' homework. She does it on her own. I said, Allie, this is how you run a spray paint. You go do your thing. And she created the coolest thing without me. And you could even do that. Get some spray paints and spray paint some cool piece of furniture or some cardboard or whatever it is. But I learned so much from my kid watching her.
Right, I've learned a lot from my kids.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. I'll try that.
Even when my kid was 2 years old, I would just see her getting into her creative space.
Yep.
And she'd be holding her. Oh, even as a baby,
Like the crayons?
Yeah, she'd grab a pencil or a crayon, kind of hold it like that, and she's 1 year old, and she is just.
Yes.
And I knew I was just on her wavelength.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for if you're going and you're starting in from scratch with bipolar, even blank paper and crayons or pencils, and you're just drawing out. Maybe not a picture, but I remember doing this when I was 19. My therapist had me just, Maggie, start coloring what you're feeling. So I took the black and I was like, and it was an outlet though.
Yeah.
It was a massive outlet. And then I didn't even create a picture. It was just black, like what a child would do.
Right.
And it was my anger coming out. And I still have all those pages of art put away in the garage. And as my depression lifted and as I got well, the colors got brighter and happier, and things started to form into an actual picture.
So we can be creative. I'll just give you one example, because I used to play a trombone way, way, way in the distant past. Okay, I was pretty good on it, but then about age 24 or so, I gave it up. Life got in the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted to get back into music.
Right.
But it was too intimidating because, you have to know how to read music, and my eyesight's going by that time, and it's like, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm gonna have to learn fingering and everything.
Right.
And I ran into a guy in a coffee shop. He had a didgeridoo.
Yeah.
It's like there's no fingering, there's no music to read, and I said, wow, to me it was not intimidating.
Right.
So I got into music, and I don't have to be a good musician.
And there's a creative outlet.
It's a creative outlet, and it's opened up a lot of social doors, because I didn't realize at the time, people say, oh, that's a cool instrument.
Oh, yeah. We had a guy earlier here today, and he was like, what is that? And John was able to tell him about it.
Should I just bring it out?
Yeah, bring it in real quick.
Yeah, just real quick. Okay.
Yeah, so it's so awesome to have any kind of creative outlet, whether it's music or art or whatever.
So see, this is nothing but a hollow pipe, okay? No fingering or anything, but yet, and there is no didgeridoo manual. So,
right.
So there's no right way or wrong way of playing it, so it's non-intimidating, yep. You can do whatever you want and be a 5-year-old kid again.
How awesome is that?
Awesome!
Well, thank you guys for watching today. And we've got some books.
We got our books.
Yeah.
We always have to get out the books. Do you want to? Why don't you promote my book? You promote my book.
So this is Not Just Up and Down by John McManamy here. And it's awesome. It's got all kinds of good stories and details of bipolar in here. So I would definitely have you read it. Even if you're a family member, it's very helpful.
And this is Maggie's totally awesome Runaway Mind. It's her personal account of her descent into madness and back again. It's a very inspiring story. In fact, I've used some of her story in my book. So check these out on Amazon, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and get on our mailing lists.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. Have a great day.
That's a wrap.
All right.
Woo.
Very good.
Have to react creatively